welcome, welcome. My name is WriterMaven. I am the host of the Wrestling Receipts podcast. I talk about all things Judgment Day. Dom, Liv, Raquel, Carlito, Finn, JD, and now Roxanne. Um, First and foremost, I want to give my thoughts and prayers to Zoey Stark before we get into any of this other stuff. Thoughts and prayers to Zoey Stark. She had a horrific injury on Raw during her match with Rhea and Kari. It is gnarly and nasty looking. If you've seen the photos of it, if you've seen the videos of it, I've seen the videos of it on the X. It was just such a gnarly, nasty injury. Her leg bent at an angle it shouldn't bend in. She had to be carried out by the doctor, and I'm just hoping she'll be okay. I had just previously on the X prior to that injury, I was posting about how the WWE wasn't shit for having placed Zoey in between Kari and Rhea's um like first initial pops like on the screen. I thought that was nasty, and considering what I've been thinking about, what it relates to what BC Amplified has talked about Zoey and how she's been fighting it back about her treatment, I thought that was just really nasty because they put her out there, you know, after Rhea's pop when she first came down to the ring, and where she's just pretty much getting like crickets, and then you get Kyrie with her pop, and I thought that was just really nasty to do to her because she was getting over 2 years ago when she had the alliance with Trish and she was going up against Becky. See, this is why I give Becky a little bit more credibility or a little bit more grace than like a Charlotte or a Rhea, is because Becky will at least attempt to get some people over. It just seems like she's selfish in other ways, but at least she tries with some people. So she was really trying with Zoey, and Zoey got over. She was over 2 years ago, but guess what happened with Zoey? She ran up against Rhea twice, and then she fell down the card. She is a good to great wrestler. If you saw her in Money in the Bank, like what was it last year? She was great. Like Zoey can wrestle. It's a lot of her non-pop is just due to them doing like that whole stud line PFC group, and then they didn't put any kind of effort into it. They were always up against somebody else that, I guess they were getting more of the push. And so I think Zoe has been was being done pretty much done filthy. And like I said, if the rumors are true about her trying to fight back about her like about her treatment and stuff and how she was probably going to get released like at the end of her contract, then yeah, like I can't really blame Zoe for trying to fight back. So like I said, thoughts and prayers to Zoe for that. But like I said, I think she was done filthy, and I really did not like how everything was set up for her, because it's like, oh yeah, like we need an extra body, so here's Zoe, and then we're gonna put her in with a returning Kari. Like, and they spoiled that, by the way, too. So they spoiled the Kari thing. Like, you couldn't have that as a surprise. But I'll get into that later, because I do want to take. I want to talk about probably Rhea's stuff first before I get into all the Judgment Day stuff, because I have a lot to talk about. But yeah, thoughts and prayers to Zoe. Let me pull up my notes. Raw was kind of all over the place, and I'm going to preface this by saying that I do not like how they're changing narratives and story lore when it relates to Dom and Finn, because first you're having Dom be told he's acting one way, and then you still have Finn acting another way, and the two are not jiving together. I'll get into more of that later, but watch for this narrative change, because they did the same thing with Rhea, and you know how I feel about how they changed the storyline for Rhea and for her benefit. But I think it relates to Dom and Finn, they're trying to change it, but they're doing it half-heartedly. So it's just like a whole mess. And so let's get into the Money in the Bank qualifiers. Um, like I said, I want to push Judgment Day a little bit later on right now because I want to be happy when I talk about that. So I'm going to talk about the Money in the Bank qualifiers. So, Rhea is in the Money in the Bank qualifier. May I ask why the fuck she's in the Money in the Bank qualifier? So, what is it with her? Is she going to be able to just demand rematches or whine and cry her way into a rematch? Or is she going to have to earn her way into a title opportunity? You see what I'm getting here? Like, you can't have it both ways. Because if this was the case, she should have been doing this with Liv's reign. Like, why is it that, and people are going to say, well, she won in the tag match. Yeah, but that was a tag match. It wasn't like an actual single one on one match that determined a number one contender when Liv was the champion. So you can't have it both ways. Either she has to do a qualifier, kind of like what Bianca did, that she ran out of her own match of that she won for Rhea's sake, or she could just whine and cry and insert herself into the match. You can't have it both ways, and I don't like it. Like, why are you taking a spot where you can just go up to Adam Pearce or Nick Aldis or whoever the fuck and then just get a title match? See what I'm getting at here? So the first qualifier, Roxanne wins. It was going to be a toss up between her and Becky. I knew Natalya wasn't going to get it, but Natalya was in there to set the tone and the pace, and that's why Natalya is still. So that's why Natalya was in there just to set the tone and pace and probably help out Roxanne with her first kind of like first major one match on the main roster. So she won that. And then Becky lost due to Lyra. They're still doing that. I'm kind of hoping if Bayley comes back to take out Becky because I don't really want Becky to get that IC just yet. Like, Lyra's doing fine with the IC just right now. You know, Becky really doesn't need a title. It's kind of like with Rhea. You don't really need a title. So they're still doing that. And then we had the other qualifier, Rhea, Kari, and Zoe. Once Zoe taken out, they had to go down to Kari and Rhea, which means Kari was going to get pinned. Like, people were online at the beginning was all like, "Well, how do you think? What do you mean that Rhea's going to win? Maybe Kari's going to win." And I'm like, "Nah, you don't bet on Rhea losing." When she lost to Io, that was a shock. But everybody knew she was going to win that match, and she won the match. And so you have Kyrie returning, and I know Zoe was probably going to take that pin, so that sucks for her. But still, like, you have Kyrie return with no kind of return fanfare. It was just like she just shows up, like she's been there all the time, and then Rhea wins the match. And at the point of me being considered, I don't want to say that I'm a prude, because if y'all know me on the X, I will goon over a lot of different women and men. Like, anytime Maxine, Ivy Nile, Sonya when she was there, Naomi, any of these other women that show up on the screen, you know that I'm gonna be like, Maxine, my beloved, Ivy Nile, my beloved, Sonya, my beloved. I'm all over those girls because they look great. But can I just say that I was really disturbed at the amount of ass cheeks I saw with Rhea tonight? I was on the international feed, so y'all probably didn't see this on the US feed of this, but on the international feed when she was waiting around for like Zoe to come in, it was just all ass cheek. And I'm like, okay, we get it. You're gonna have people gooning, you're gonna have people screenshotting and all that of Rhea's ass. But I'm like, now now it's like getting to the point like, okay, we know, we get it, I get it, you have ass, you're hot, move on. But that was just way too much butt jiggling for me, and I'm like, okay, I mean, she's a beautiful woman like Rhea. When I take screenshots of Rhea, I can usually get a really great shot. So this is not me being a prude. I am not being a prude. I've gone through stuff. I've gone through the Attitude Era. And even though I don't really like the Attitude Era as it relates to women and how they were treated, I've gone through that era. I've seen all different types of women and men in all various types of dress. But even in the Attitude Era, when they were flashing people, and if y'all know the Attitude Era, you have Melina flashing, other random girls flashing in the audience, in the strip club. I've seen all that. But like, come on. We don't need to see like I just don't need to see that all the time. And I think maybe it's just the cut of her gear or something like that, but it's that just kind of bothered me tonight for whatever reason. Maybe because as soon as Zoe gets carried out, um, with her injury, the audience goes with comes out with a mommy chant, and I'm like, okay, we just saw this woman get injured trying to wrestle for you and get carried out, and then here you come with a mommy chant for Rhea. Like, I know the audience is probably in shock and they still want to get into it, but way to, ignore what happened with Zoe like a few minutes ago and just go right back to mommy. Like, can we be sensitive here? Like, the whole match was off due to the injury, but that really worked my nerve there with that. But Rhea's in a qualifier, and now we got to deal with her in the qualifier. But yeah, I'm not trying to be a prude. I am not trying to body shame. Lord knows I'm not trying to body shame. I'm just saying, like, it's just too much ass hanging out. When when we got other women that would, if you had that type of gear, like anybody know Sky Blue from AEW? You know how many people were like getting after Ivy Nile to the point where she kind of had to cover up her gear once upon a time, just because of the way how she like the way her gear goes. Like, and then there's gears like with Mariah May and Tony Storm, like any of those women in like AEW. Like, you know, I remember Sky Blue getting a brunt of stuff, and I'm like, I'm not trying to be like that. But at some point, it's just like, okay, we get it. So let us get into the rest of Raw. Let's start with all our Judgment Day stuff. Um, so during the match between JD and Finn versus Penta and AJ, there was a new entrance kinda with Judgment Day. They really need a more energetic theme song. I thought it was okay at first, but at this point now, I don't think that theme song fits. They need something else. Um, it's like really low energy. So during the match, we have Cole saying that Dom is getting too big for his britches and asking where Dom is. Now, if y'all saw me melt down on the Exodus, then y'all are ahead of the game. Because I was saying, okay, look, why is it now a problem if Dom is not out there with Finn? Because where was all this concern when Dom was getting his ass beat when he was ran out there to be meat fodder for Damien, Finn, and Rhea and all them? Like, why is it a problem now that Dom isn't out there? And then Cole wants to say, um, he's getting too big for his britches, and Finn was cleaning up Dom's messes. And I'm like, what messes? Dom cleaned up his own mess with doing deals with Garda Americano, who comes into play later on in this match and helps Finn get a win. So, like, the narrative is off and it's changing. And they did the same thing with Rhea, and I didn't like it then, and I don't like it now because it doesn't match. You can't insult my intelligence this way. I've seen what Dom had to go through for the past 2 years. He was used as a meat grinder. He was always softening up other people for Damien and Finn. Um, we've we've all seen Dom have to do that. He's been one of the most unselfish people in Judgment Day. By this last half year alone, he was getting title opportunities for Finn. He was getting chances for titles for Finn at his own detriment. It was only when Liv got him into the Intercontinental Championship match at WrestleMania then he finally decided to take um advantage. But Dom has been unselfish. So you can't present Dom as this, you can't say that Dom is this getting too big for his bitches and he's not caring about the group when we've seen everything else counter to this for these past 2 years. It's the same thing with Finn. Like with Finn, he's been an asshole. He's been his demented demon self, and he's been really not good to hang around, and he's bring down the tone of the group. So you can't go with Finn saying like, Finn is trying to clean up Dom's messes when Finn was a lot of the cause of said messes. I don't like this narrative shift, but it's half-hearted because they're not putting an effort into it. Because if they wanted to, they could be showing Finn a lot more sympathetic by cutting shit out, like trying to recruit Roxanne, which I will get into. But they're not. So they have Michael Cole and Pat say one thing on commentary, and then when you get back to the clubhouse scenes, it's something completely different. And I don't like this narrative shift. Like you can't say that where you can't keep asking where's Dom when nobody showed up for Dom when he was out there. The only people that were usually out there was JD at first, and then Carlito. But it wasn't like Rhea was only there in the beginning, and Damien. So Damien, Rhea, and Finn, they were out there in the beginning, like when they first got together as Judgment Day, like in the beginning. But once Damien and Rhea got their titles, that fell off. And Finn and Dom was pretty much on his own from the back half of after he lost the North American Championship the second time, all the way up till now, like until like WrestleMania this year. So the narrative don't match. They need to stop that shit. You're insulting my intelligence. This is just like how Cole was saying that he warned Rhea about Dom. Warned Rhea about how Rhea was beating Dom's ass to get into Judgment Day. Like how is you warning Rhea about Dom? And then you were the one that was calling Rhea Dom's witchy girlfriend. Like, don't insult my intelligence like this. I have the receipt. This is called the Wrestling Receipts podcast and channel for a damn reason. I keep receipts on all this shit. And if I don't know it immediately off my head, I know where to find it. Don't insult my intelligence. I don't like it when wrestling insults my intelligence. I can go along with wrestling because kayfabe is kayfabe and you can go storylines any which way. But once you start insulting my intelligence, we're going to have a problem. And we're getting to this point with this Dom narrative right now. I've already talked about Rhea and her ass cheeks. Um, Judgment Day. Oh, and Finn got the win with El Grande interfered. It's really interesting that he was. Well, it's interesting that Penta still keeps getting the pin, kind of like with Ray Phoenix. So I think the Lucha Brothers are going to be reuniting sooner rather than later. AJ, they still not doing anything as regards to AJ versus Dom. So I think we're still gonna get that match probably at Night of Champions. I don't think that's gonna be at Money in the Bank. I'm kind of hoping Dom qualifies, like for Money in the Bank, because if you're gonna have Zelina in the Money in the Bank qualifier this Friday, then I think we need to have Dom in there too. Dom and like Jacob, like you could have those people in there and still be like the champions in a qualifier. Um, Judgment Day Clubhouse, Dom, Raquel, JD, and Carlito are happy about the win. Now, I want y'all to peep Dom's expression when Finn brought in Roxanne. That was not a desired look. I can't really place what kind of look that was, but it wasn't like a look where um like you're really happy to see somebody or even like oh crap. It was just kind of more like I'm almost calling it neutral almost. But it wasn't like what do you say? It's not something where it's like you're happy to see somebody. But Raquel was giving Roxanne a look. And then here we go with the whole. This is why I said the narrative doesn't make sense for Finn because Finn is now bringing in Roxanne, and he said, "Well, we need new Judgment Day members." Motherfucker, did you just not say when Dom was trying to bring in members that we don't need any new Judgment Day members? So now all of a sudden you could bring in a member? You see why this shit pisses me off when it comes to the storyline? Because we just had Finn say a month or two ago, no new Judgment Day members. When Dom was saying that we were down, when Dom had actually a reason to say we had need new members because they were down with JD. Now, Finn is trying to cover it up. Well, we need Roxanne to cover Liv and Raquel's back. Okay, fine, whatever. But if you're going to do that, then Finn shouldn't have been so against Dom bringing in a member when JD was out. So again, you can't say that Dom is getting too big for his britches, and then you have Finn over. Then you bring in Finn instead of like Finn maybe trying to be easy going with it and like be saying like, "Hey, sorry, I know I said we didn't need new members, but I think we need to bring in Roxanne to help out Liv and Raquel." You know, you could at least did it that way, but it's just like Finn is just so smug with it, like where okay, where's if we're trying to get sympathy for Finn, they're going about it the wrong way. And then Dom did try to say we should wait for Liv. So please, people, he did say Liv. You know, we should wait. It's not like he was really accepting of Roxanne, and then Roxanne did give him the chicken tenders that looked dry as fuck in that J.C. Penney's box, and and then Carlito got an apple that Raquel slapped out of his hand. And Dom did look at Roxanne when she walked away. Now, my Liv Dom fans, please do not crash out over one segment. You can't say that Dom is going to cheat after one segment. Now, will we get clues that maybe that's leading up to something in the future? Maybe. But if it does, I will tell you that. You know me. I always look for clues. He did watch Roxanne walk away. But I also have to look at the expression that he had when Roxanne entered into the clubhouse. You can't just take one little sliver of a segment and ignore all the rest that's going on. You have to watch the entire thing. So Dom had one expression when Roxanne entered the clubhouse, and then he had another expression when Roxanne left, and he watched her walk away. But like I said, my Liv Dom fans, do not panic, do not crash out. This is just one segment. In the future, if it builds up that way, you know I'm going to lay it to you straight. I'm not going to sugarcoat. I'm not going to stick my head in the sand like some of these Rhea stands did last year. I'm promising you right now, on this date in April, that I will give it to you straight. If it looks like it's going DomRox, then I will tell you that it's looking like it's going DomRox. But please I want y'all to promise me that y'all will look at the entire segment and the entire clues, and that includes social media, depending on how they play it on social media. But you have to take everything into account. Now, there's a couple of different ways they can take this. I'm going to give you my preliminary theories with how they can handle this thing, because right now we're looking like we're going to go for another Liv Dom Summer 2.0. I'm ready. I'm ready for my clues. I'm ready to dissect and getting to my thinking chair, if y'all know what that means, and start thinking about and processing these clues. You know, this is how I started my channel last year. So we are in. If we go the route of last year, then we're in for another summer. And hey, I'll take it. It's interesting. It's a story. It builds up people. It will build up Roxanne. It will build up Dom. It will build up Liv and all these people in Judgment Day. So I am going to give you my initial theories. These are preliminary theories. This is just what I'm thinking off the top of my head. I am not basing these on clues just yet. I'm going to give you my off the wall theory because I think we could go this particular route as well. And we'll see. I'm going to mark it down. This is just my preliminary theories. I'm going to mark it here. So if it comes to pass that some of these theories are right, I just called it again. So let's talk about some theories, shall we? Theory number one. Dom and Rox hook up because Dom cheats on Liv with Roxanne. Now, it is possible they can go that way if the WWE wants Dom to go the Eddie Guerrero route. Now, I'm not saying this will happen. It might happen. You always have to do the might with Triple H, you have to account for Triple H's bullshit. So this is a possibility that it might happen. But there's a lot of different things that need to happen in order for this to work. You're gonna have to kind of rework Liv Dom Summer again. And then you're gonna have to do some other things differently because as my friend Hope said, like Dom was coming from the Rhea thing and the Damon thing and being treated like crap. So Roxanne can't work it like, or Dom himself can't work it like it was last year. It has to be something completely different. And if they're going with the Eddie route, this is where I say, you remember how I keep saying that they should have had women really starting to flirt with Dom a lot of the time, or he had wandering eyes all this time. This is where this development would make a lot more sense if Dom had wandering eyes all this time. Like, if we knew that Dom had been with all the women in NXT, then when Roxanne shows up or Tiffany shows up, then we would get it. We'd be like, uh-oh. But right now, this is kind of going counter. This is going counter to Dom's character because Dom has never had the wandering eyes. Now he watched Roxanne go, but that's not wandering eyes. Wandering eyes to me for a guy is when you're actively checking out women. Him watching Roxanne go is a completely different thing from wandering eyes. So this is so if they want to go with the whole Eddie thing, they can go with LivDomRox. The other theory that they have, or they could do, is Roxanne tries to get with Dom and he rebuffs Roxanne. Like he completely shuts it down. Like she's trying hard. Maybe Finn is putting her up to it and she's trying really hard and then Dom just shuts it down. Maybe he gets into some compromising positions, but eventually he shuts that down. Or you can have Dom use Roxanne to get Finn out, where Dom is using Roxanne to get back at Finn, get rid of get now this could really go into the heel side of things. So you could have Dom kind of be facious tweenerish by rejecting Roxanne's advances because Finn is using Roxanne that way. Or you can have Dom use Roxanne to get to Finn, and that just really solidifies his heel status again. And then you got heel turn 4.0 with Dom. Like, break somebody's heart type using, and he still stays with Liv. So that can happen too. Um, the third option, the third theory, Liv, Dom, and Roxy and Raquel are in on it together. Now, this has kind of been my theory for right now, is that they're all in on it. Like Liv and Raquel and Dom have already recruited Roxanne, and Roxanne is in with Finn. Like Finn is thinking that he's gonna have this, in with Roxanne to disrupt Dom. But since Roxanne is already in on it, then they just use this to turn on Finn and cast Finn out. So that's like my leading theory right now. The other kind of another variation of this is just that Finn is using Roxanne because he really thinks he set up Liv and Dom to get together, but it'll turn out that Liv and Dom were together longer than Finn thinks. So whatever he tries with Roxanne doesn't work because Liv and Dom had already hooked up. You see what I'm getting at right there? So Finn is using Roxanne because he thinks he can tempt um, Dom with Roxanne like he did last year. That's how he got Dom hooked up, hooked into. But it's going to come out that Liv and Dom were already together, and then it was just them using Finn to get rid of Damien and Rhea. So that's another theory there. Now, my favorite off the wall theory. Now, y'all heard me talk about this before, but I'm going to go into a little bit of depth on this one. So, Finn brings in Roxanne because he knows that Roxanne and Dom had a thing in NXT. Let me explain. Back when Dom was the North American champion, he spent a lot of time in NXT. And y'all know that I always said that he should have been, if you wanted to have Dom have an Eddie type run, Dom should have been like flirting with everybody and getting with everyone in NXT. This is where this kind of stems from. So when Dom was in was the North American champion, he was in NXT. Rhea was there for a little bit, but she wasn't there all the time. Um, Around the time of the ultimatum, or maybe a little bit before, things started breaking down between Rhea and Dom. So Dom, with the freedom that he has at NXT, he hooks up Roxanne. Now, the ultimatum comes up, the Rhea ultimatum, win the title again or don't come home. Things are really cracking, so he really goes in with this relationship with Roxanne until he loses the North American Championship for the second time, and then he's got to go back to the main roster. Now, maybe Finn finds out about this relationship that Dom and Roxanne had, and he wants to use that as some sort of leverage. Maybe Dom does not want to tell Liv about this, even though it was during the Rhea time and before Liv's time. But maybe he doesn't want that out. So maybe there could be some blackmail there, or just Finn trying to get his advantage back and become leader of the group because he knows this secret. So you can spin it like that. Or if it is comes to pass, you can have Liv be like, I know about the relationship and it doesn't bother me because that was before my time with Dom. And they'll just play it like that, like this is something that's hurting Dom until they spring it on him, like, hey, this doesn't bother me. We know what you're doing, and you're out. So that's my little off the wall theory. I kind of like that theory because it kind of establishes like that whole ladies man thing without retconning a whole bunch of shit. And it gives us just a little bit of what Dom was doing in NXT. You can fill in some of the blanks. You can use NXT Anonymous. You could do a lot of different things with that particular storyline. But yeah, that's my theory. So we got about 4 or 5 theories. Those are just off the top of my head. Um, so yeah. But for right now, please don't panic. Don't crash out. What Dom is posting on Instagram, and because I see the comments now, what Dom is posting on Instagram is what he usually posts and his song. Just look at his song choices. He might be suggested about it, but then he's going to probably lean into it because of what's going on. Remember, when he was doing some things, he had to switch it when Rhea started being aware of social media. He had to switch things up for Rhea. When Liv and Dom were using social media, he had to switch things up for there. So right now, it's too early to tell. Like, I'm not going to panic about it. I am a LivDom fan. However, I am a storyline buff. If it works, it works. It'll just take me. I like looking at the clues. And like I said, I promise you, if it looks like it's going Roxanne, I will let you know. For that, right now, I cannot say they are definitely going this way with Rox and Dom, or they're going to have Dom cheat, or they're going to ruin his character, or they're going to do this, this, and this. Like, first of all, there's still value with Liv and Dom. Now, you can carry out a whole breakup storyline to the whole end of the year. Like, there's things you can do. And like I said, it might be for the better, it might be for the worse. We can't call that Dom is going to cheat on Liv with Roxanne just yet. So don't panic, my LivDom fans. But I will say gleefully that if you have people, if you have a timeline, block the Rhea stands, not the Rhea fans that are in good faith and want to talk with you normally about this storyline. I'm talking about the Rhea stands that'll be like, I told you so and stuff like that, because then they're gonna be, because I could foresee like them gonna be like with the chest out saying, oh, it's gonna happen. But remember, even in the eventuality that Liv and Dom break up and Dom doesn't even get with Roxanne or whatever, it does not mean that Dom is going back to Rhea. Like, I can see some Rhea stands like rubbing their hands with glee, thinking that, they're going to break up with Dom so Dom can go back to Rhea. Nah, it's not going to happen like that. If anything happens to Liv Dom, either he's going to go with Rox Dom or it's going to break and he's not going to be with another woman for a while and he'll just be a ladies' man. He's not going back to Rhea. I can promise y'all that right now. Prince Robot says, block all of them. Yeah, protect your peace. If you have Rhea's fans that you can enjoy, and I do have my Rhea fans that I enjoy talking to, let them through. But these fans that want to, like, say, I told you so, this, that, and the third, the ones that are being really delusional about it, block them. Protect your peace. Like, I will fight some Rhea stands, like, when they were being so blatant. Like, there was, like, a whole discourse on about one of Dom's interviews saying that he said Rhea in a bleeped out message. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, come on. He was probably bleeped out talking about his wife, Marie. And y'all want to make it about Rhea. Those type of fans, block them. If they're not making a good face debate with you, block them. Like, I will debate some people, but if you're not going to have a good faith debate with me and just saying that I'm stupid or this is going to happen and, you're going to gloat about it, then block them. Protect your peace. Oh, Daenerys, I'm doing fine. Like, I am not going to bring, this whole start of a storyline is not going to bring me down. And I don't want this to bring you down. If you don't, if you're worried about it, I mean, I get it if you like Liv Dom. But I guess because I've been watching wrestling for over 30 years, almost 40 years at this particular moment, I can roll with the punches. Like, if things happen, do I particularly like it? No. There are lots of wrestling decisions that I really didn't like. But I just kind of roll with it. So with me, with this situation, I'm kind of rolling with it. But I'm just gonna say now, like I've been saying, that I promise you that I will give you my honest opinion and I will not steer you wrong. I'm not gonna be like how the Rhea stands were last year and just stuck their head in the sand. I'm not gonna be like that. I am not sticking my head in the sand because of this. I will tell you straight up. Because remember, Triple H is not subtle. Um, so, oh yeah, and another thing with this whole Liv, Dom, Roxanne, Finn thing has completely overshadowed Rhea's win. So she is out there flapping in the wind because Rhea's not being discussed about. Because the Rhea stands were fighting for their lives with that win because people were pissed that Rhea won. Because one, it was against Kyrie. Because now we know Zoe was gonna probably take the pin, but he pinned Kyrie. She's in the Money in the Bank that a lot of other women could use, like a Naomi or somebody like that. And you're taking away an opportunity for them, so they were going to get it all from all sides. And now this whole situation, while they may gloat about Dom potentially cheating, this is completely overshadowing Rhea's thing. So now everybody is like the whole storyline has completely taken over the timeline, and it's just hilarious to me. Like, that's what happens. I mean, she still needs somebody to latch onto, and I'm really hoping, like, if they're going to go full hog with this storyline, Liv, Dom, Raquel, Roxanne, if they're going like full throttle with it, Rhea needs to stay her ass where she is. I do not need to see her ass anywhere near this storyline. I don't want her to be around here being saying like "I told you so" or anything like that to Liv, because she still wouldn't claim Dom as her boyfriend until after the fact. So no, I mean, you can't say that you were cheated on when you won't claim Dom as your boyfriend. So he didn't cheat on your ass. So I don't need Rhea anywhere near Dom, Liv, Raquel, or Roxanne. Now we'll probably have some interactions with Roxanne and Rhea in the Money in the Bank match because they both qualify. But I don't need to see Rhea like storyline wise, segment wise, any like that. I don't need her talking about it. She needs to stay in her lane. If she needs to find another storyline, she can go be besties with Io. Even though I don't even like the whole Io thing right now. But if she needs a friend, she can go dance over there with EO and emote. But yeah, so that is that for Raw. I'm gonna check the X really quick before I answer questions. Oh, yeah, Buddy Matty says he's playing along. Yeah, I've seen the pictures. And Liv is not gonna be gone for much longer. She probably just took this week off because she just got back from Japan. She's probably back next week. Yeah, I saw what Dom posted on okay. This is what's being said to bring the lyrics of Dom's post to life. He's saying that people have a lot of names for him. They talk a lot of shit, and he knows he's not perfect. He's not what he was before, and he's not going back to the place that hurt him in the past. So there's that. And let me check what's on the edge. I'll probably post my theories tomorrow. Everybody's right now is kind of talking about it, but I'll post my stuff tomorrow. And for people that wanted Dom to wrestle more, yes, you probably wanted to see Dom wrestle more, but at the end of the day, he's already had a couple of his defenses, so it is what it is. Like I'm when the and even with Dom with the title, I wasn't going to expect Dom to wrestle all the time because look what happened with Zoe right now. Like this is more like protecting your champions and having them do the stuff until it's absolutely needed. And we only now just seeing Rhea wrestle. So why is Jay pinching Braun's nipples? Wait, I'm gonna repost that. Hold on. Yeah, lots of theories, lots of theories. Of course, people are gonna be pissed about like a story. Look, the WWE thrives on storylines. I know people want Dom to wrestle, and yeah, I love wrestling. I mean, I've been watching for all these years, but storylines matter. What made SummerSlam 2024 special was the storyline. Storylines elevate great matches. You have to have the storyline there. It's why Saturday Night Main Event coming up this Saturday looks like ass because there's no storyline attached to it. Does anybody really care about Seth and his tanning twins, Paul Heyman and Braun Breaker? Like, who cares about that storyline? And then we got Gunther back around being trying to be menacing. We got Logan Paul that I completely tuned out of earlier this evening when Raw started when Logan Paul showed up. I wasn't even paying attention to his promo. So we need storylines. Do you want people to wrestle more? Yeah, Dom could probably wrestle a little bit more, but we have to have storylines. It's why WrestleMania was ass. It was why Royal Rumble was ass. It's why Damian and Drew having this damn cage match on Saturday Night Main Event being ass, even though Drew beat him clean at WrestleMania. It's ass. You have to have the storyline. This will give the storyline. And please think of it this way. If not for Dom and Liv and to catapult them more, think about how this helps out Roxanne. She's a prodigy. This is why I won Roxanne in Judgment Day, and I still am not backing off of that feeling. I think she will do well in Judgment Day. But see, this is the type of storyline that will help propel Roxanne, and this will protect Roxanne as compared to Tiffany. Because look at what's going on with Tiffany right now. Yeah, Tiffany got the Money in the Bank briefcase, and she won against Nia. But look at how she struggled against Charlotte. He was able to recover, but now everybody just wants her to lose the title to either a Naomi or a Jade so they can get to back to Bianca, and then you can have the Bianca and Naomi Jade story revisited. You see what I mean? Here with Roxanne in this storyline helps her develop her character, helps her to bounce off of different people, and be involved with some other things. Like she'll be featured weekly in segments. Now, if we go back to Lived on Summer, where we had multiple Judgment Day segments, I'll be I'll be in heaven. Seriously, regardless of what's going on, if we get multiple segments of Dom, Liv, Raquel, Finn, JD, Kalito, and Roxanne, multiple. Like we're seeing stuff in the background. We're seeing stuff, we're seeing in-ring promos, matches, things like that. If we get any of that, we're going to be set Will we get the outcome that we want? Maybe, maybe not. But we will get, you are getting a storyline that helps develop a lot of people. And that's all I can ask for right now. If Triple H plays it right and he doesn't go into his damn bullshit, then we should be good. And since I know that Liv and Dom have a little bit of they get a little bit of leeway creativity wise, I'm hoping that Liv just reposted Dom's post. Yeah, see? Don't panic yet, people. I think we're gonna be in for a really interesting ride. Thanks for tuning in to the Wrestling Receipts podcast. Remember to follow me on the X at WMaven WWE and on TikTok at WriterMaven for more wrestling insights and live reactions every Monday night after Raw. Until next time, I'm just saying.